Welcome to the live stream. It is the middle of December. Can you believe it? Welcome, welcome. If you are with me tonight live, please let me know in the chat where you're from. We have a great live stream tonight. So if you're watching it recorded or you're watching it live, that's great. Thank you so much for being a part of this live stream. This is a new format. We have some new things coming in 2022. We're going to touch base on that later with my big prediction. So stay tuned for that at the end of the show. I'm also going to be talking about my live streamers wish list. A lot of these things I have in my studio. Some of these things I don't have yet. I want. I'm going to go through that list tonight. It's kind of like a shopping list, not necessarily for the holidays, but it is my list from 2021. And then when we're all done, I'm going to share my 3 big takeaways. Got a little bit of a surprise tonight, at least a big prediction, and we'll see how that goes. So hopefully you'll stay in for that. It's great to have Conjoining Technologies. Hi, how's it going? Thank you for joining me. Hopefully some other people will come on tonight. We're trying this new format because I have some new cool stuff coming up in the next year. So let me know in the chat right now if things are looking good, if the audio is good. It looks like I have good audio. I can pull out my Blackmagic Design ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. Man, that's a mouthful. That's way too long of a name, Blackmagic. And I can listen, and I do have good audio, and there should have been audio on the intro reel. Also, I wanted to say thank you. We hit 900 subscribers. That was in the intro reel. It popped up occasionally saying thank you, but I want to say thank you right now in our intro. Our new format is I get 5 minutes to kind of do an intro, say hi to everybody in the stream. Still not putting chat on the screen, mainly because it's one too many things to do. I will show you a different camera view tonight. What is that? That would be camera 3. So let's cut to that right now. So I have this over-the-shoulder camera. You can see Indiana Jones up there. That is the Cam Link by Elgato. And so we do have the Skycam operating tonight, and we do have camera 2 as well. And I think I will turn on this camera. That's my 5D Mark III. Whatever you do when you're shopping for a new camera, make sure it doesn't time out. Also, make sure that it does all the things you need it to do before you purchase it, and not every situation is the same. So keep that in mind. But my Canon 5D Mark III, which was my first DSLR, shoots HD video. It's very high quality. I love the camera. It shoots great still images. It's just a great camera by Canon. There's lots of other great cameras out there, but I bought it mainly for photography and some video footage. But I stream from it now, and it does time out with a dummy battery. It's not a battery that's not intelligent. It's just what they call them. So instead of having a battery that might last an hour or 2 hours, I have a dummy battery plugged into all 3 of my Canon cameras. You're watching me on the Canon 5D Mark IV. Over here is the EOS R, and many people will say, well, why don't you use your EOS R as your main camera? And I do in our podcast. That my wife does, that I'm actually on the podcast, but it's not necessarily about tech, it's about birth. And so I executive produce, and I'm kind of the anchor, the engineer for that, and that camera is our main camera, and it's set up to be in the center of the room to shoot our table, which is actually folded down underneath that TV over there. So let's get right into it. Again, let me see if there's anybody else on here. Let's see, you're not recording. Yeah, I'm not recording. Thank you. I will hit record. I did clean up that disc tonight, so thank you for that heads up. It's great to have help because I got the monitor up there and I forget to hit recording. I'm recording ISOs right now. Thank you, Conjoining Technologies. And thank you for joining me. Both those of you who are watching this recorded and watching it live, let me take you right to our plan tonight. I have a macro. Let's see if I can get it to fire up by hitting the second macro button on the front of my ATEM Extreme ISO. So there it goes. Wow, isn't that awesome? It works. So tonight's stream topics to look back at 2021, and I'm going to share the top 3 big takeaways. I'm going to share a gift guide, And I'm also going to share a big, bold prediction. And that's not necessarily the order, because I really want to hold off on the top 3 big takeaways of 2021. And I want to take us through this gift guide. Now, this gift guide would be for streamers. Some of these things will apply for videographers as well. Some of these things would apply to people that are doing live event venues or photography. So it's not just for live streamers, but because this is a live stream, and many of you that join me are learning about it or already live stream, I wanted to make up my list of items that are on my shopping list. Now, let me just say this. I am going to be using the media pool tonight. I'm trying to stay to the grassroots of the equipment I have in my studio, though I could have made a slide presentation in OBS and then just brought it in. But part of what I like to do is stretch myself and try to use the ATEMs with their limits. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about the ATEM here. It's on the shopping list, but I am going to have to drop in some new still images in the middle of this gift guide. So bear in mind, that's going to be a little pause, and I'll check on the chat at that time as well. We are going to have a Q&A, so let's get rocking. This is our order. The last thing on that list that I haven't said anything yet about, well, there's 2 things on this still image. Yes, we are over 900. I think we're 911 starting the stream. So in reality, I think we hit 900 last week on Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember exactly, but I did a thank you video. So if you subscribe, please watch that video. It gives me a chance to authentically tell you how much I appreciate you being a part of this channel. So thank you so much. And we're going to shoot on to 1,000. And that's why there's an arrow in subscribers below me. Right over on that side of 900, it says subscribers, and it has an arrow. And then over 1,000 is what our goal is. It would be great to do that before the new year. My plan is to share with you the studio and do a tour, special tour after we hit 1,000. And it may be a 3-part tour, haven't decided, or a long live stream. Let me know in the comments what you would prefer, if you'd like to have it broke up. Because it's going to take a while, and you know I can talk, so I apologize if I talk too much, but there's no one else on the show tonight besides you guys. So if you have any questions before we get started, please let me know. But that's our list. Again, look back at 2021. We're going to do that by looking at a gift guide, and then I'm going to talk about those things and kind of reflect on some of those things that I added this year. And then that list is in the notes, and there's also associate links from Amazon. So if you use those links, we do get some kickback from Amazon, so we appreciate that. That's my disclaimer. Though this live stream and my channel is not sponsored by anyone, I just do have an Amazon associate relationship, and I can put those links in the description. So if you were to purchase any of those items and use those links, it's going to help the channel. And we appreciate that greatly. So again, top 3 takeaways. We're going to come back to that in a minute. We're going to do our gift guide for 2021. So it's still right now. It's a right now gift guide. You can use it next year if you'd like. And then my bold prediction for 2022. And we're also going to talk about the things I'm going to do differently with my live stream going into 2022. We're still going to be live on Tuesday, so don't freak out. But I do want to do some special things for my consistent subscribers and live stream group that joins me. So looking over here, I see Tom from Tech Tips. Thanks, Tom, for joining me. I see Tony from Quick Tech Solutions. Please check out their channels and subscribe to those guys. Let's see if anybody else is on here. Great. So let me just look. Good evening, Tony. Thanks for the greeting. I am now recording. Thanks for Conjoining Technologies for reminding me of that. And great, you got your booster. That's great. Feeling better. And hi from Tom. It's great to have you guys on here. Thank you for joining me. So those are the things we're going to cover. Let's get into it. I think I have a image here, a still that's going to let me do my gift guide here. So let's roll this sucker and see if it works. Yeah, there it goes. So gift guide for 2021. And I have a list. And you can see all of them in the notes underneath tonight's live stream. They're already in there. And again, they have associate links attached. So if you purchase any of those things, I appreciate it. And let me tell you, there's lots of things that aren't on my list that I'd like to put on my list, but I didn't want to overwhelm the live stream tonight. And they're not in any necessarily any order, but I do have my handy dandy marker, and I am going to jot these off. And we are festive tonight, so I hope you enjoy the background. And anyway, it's getting close to the season where snow falls, and that's kind of the theme here in the studio. Even though it's cold outside, but there's no snow here in Richland, Washington, where we reside and where Life Journey Production Studios is. And again, thanks for joining me. Let's get into this list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the media player, and I'm going to just drop slides in. So they're going to replace my lower thirds with full frame slides. But they'll be on the right-hand side, believe it or not. So we'll see if this technology works. So if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I love HyperDecks. And so one of the first things I wanted to talk about tonight is the new HyperDecks by Blackmagic Design. Though I'm not making a prediction, FYI, I'm not making a prediction about Blackmagic Design and what they're going to do. And the reason for that is people who are my peers have said things like this last week on their live streams. Everybody who tries to predict what Blackmagic Design is going to do gets it wrong. I don't know if that's true, but I have such a respect for these individuals. And it wasn't just one person, a couple people did that. But I was hoping in my world, on my wish list for 2021, was that they would do some updating to the HyperDeck. Now, there's still little quirks and issues, and we're going to talk about those issues now that I've been using them in the live streams. I'm using them in my videos. I just did a video on how to use the Stream Deck mobile app and how to incorporate it with Companion and incorporate it with Adam Tao's Mix Effect app, and there is no S, and so shout out to Adam. Hopefully I can say it right all the time now. I'm practicing Mix Effect. So those three things I talk about in my latest video on the new HyperDeck series, so check that out. So there's 4 new HyperDecks. The smallest one does not have a key SDI out, which means it will not help you do transparent animated graphics, so keep that in mind, but it is a great value. It will play back video, it will record. If you want to do an instant replay, which we're hoping, cross your fingers, next week on our live stream before the holiday, my hope is that we'll actually do a live instant replay, one at full speed, one with no audio and slow-mo, and I'm planning on doing something that slow-mo will make it fun. So that's next week. So there are things you can do with that smaller HyperDeck, and there are things that are advantages in the higher-end HyperDecks. They're more money, they have more features, and they have some new things that are pretty cool. Like one of the things that I wish I had on my HD Plus was the nicer scroll wheel or trim wheel, whatever you want to call it. What is it called? It is called a. I'll put it in the notes tonight, guys, because I am just drawing a blank on what that's called. What is that called? Got me. So I got to watch the clock. So I only have a few minutes on each one of these. So I'm a huge fan. I love it. I've had the HyperDeck in my studio. Tony is on with me tonight from Quick Tech Solutions, and he did a fan upgrade on his channel. Great video. Go check that out. Because of Tony's video, I felt confident that I could fix my old HyperDeck Mini. It voids the warranty, so disclaimer, and I take no responsibility if you do it incorrectly, but you can actually get a quieter fan. And that was one of the biggest things that I noticed out of the box when I plugged it in, is that it did not get as loud or even loud at all. And it gets very hot in my studio. Like right now, I'm sure it's 75 in my studio because I spend lots of times getting everything ready, get all the lights on, and it can get hot in here really fast. And this time of year, we usually don't have the air conditioner on, so it gets really hot. I can open the window, but then the noise comes in from the road, and I don't want to ruin the live stream with that. So HyperDeck Studio HD Plus, a great item for keying graphics, for recording, for playback. I love the buttons. I love everything about this and some of the new features, and we will talk again more about that, or you can watch my new HyperDeck series. And actually one of the videos in the HyperDeck series on how to hook it up and how to get the software updated. That video is over 1,000 views, which is a big thing for my channel. So that's exciting, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But that's the HyperDeck, and it's got lots of new things on it. So check out the videos here on my channel, and that'll help you know a little bit more about that. And if you get one or you have one in your studio, if you do buy a HyperDeck Studio HD Plus, please let me know, because again, everybody knows that that's something I'm very passionate about, and I really feel like our channel helps people know how to use it and learn about it that haven't had one before. So, yeah, it does not have the key channel, but that's the smaller. That's a question or a comment by Tom Q from Tech Tips. It does not have a key channel. So they took you. If you buy the Mini, it does. Like the Mini I have here, the HyperDeck Studio Mini, it does have the key channel, and it's a perfectly fine unit. There's really nothing about that I would say I can't use it or keeps me from keeping it in my studio now that it's more quiet because of the fan upgrade that I did. Voided the warranty, obviously, but again, very, very cool that it has that feature, and the old HyperDecks all the way up did have that key feature, but that new smaller HyperDeck HD, Studio HD, it's not the Plus, it's just the HD. It's the same size, 1/3 rack, and it does not have a key channel. So keep that in mind. There's some other things it doesn't have on the back either, because it just does not have room for all the new stuff they put on the back of all three of the other updates. And those updates just happened this summer, and that's exciting. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to this. A10 Mini Pro ISO. I'm still recommending this product. In fact, the Pro is fine as well. I did not include a link in today's live stream, because I would recommend you spend the money on the A10 Mini Pro ISO. Really, the only thing you're giving up in this product, in my opinion, the two major things as far as the nuts and bolts are maybe three things. Or you're giving away the extra HDMI that you'll find in the newer Extreme and Extreme ISOs. That's great to have. So one can just go to your multi-view monitor, and the other one could go into your studio to do whatever you want with. I use it for confidence monitors and split it so that I have a number of confidence monitors and I can see what you see in the program. So I'm looking at a monitor right above my camera. So still recommend this. I do think the ISO recording is super important, because it gives you a chance to do videos in your studio if you're doing a channel, and then you can edit it all down later and you combine it with DaVinci Resolve. The ISO has the advantage of creating that folder with all of the ISO tracks in it, as well as your media player, and then you can open that XML in DaVinci Resolve, which, by the way, I've never done, but I have peers and stuff that do it, people who do it all the time, and they'll edit in DaVinci Resolve and make changes and all that. I really use my Extreme ISO, which is a great segue. Let's drop it in here. Next on the gift guide, I use my Extreme ISO mainly just to get multiple camera angles. So if I don't like something in the program tonight, or there's something I want to pull out and re-edit it, like I'm in this small box, but on the ISO track, I'll be full size. So I don't have to be in a small box. If I use the program recording, which I am recording tonight, and then this is what I would get. This is all that I'd see. And I left a space below me because I can bring up another DVE and bring up my desktop, which I'm going to do here in a few minutes, and that's why I've laid things out this way. So I highly recommend the A10 Mini Extreme ISO. I have one in my studio. I love it. I do not have an A10 Mini Pro ISO. I only have the Pro. The ISO came out after I bought my Pro, and I just didn't think there was enough there for me to upgrade, and I held out, and I'm glad I did, because then they announced the Extreme and Extreme ISO. Now, these decks are incredible investment. There's so much they can do. In fact, I was just talking to a local venue here about what it can do, and they were like, their eyes got really big, because they have an 8K and they're recording two HyperDecks, and then they also, from a computer, they go out to a number of destinations for their live stream, but they don't have ISO recordings, and they're not recording in their Blackmagic cameras, and they have 3 Blackmagic cameras and then a Sony camcorder they're using, getting ready to update to the 6K Pro, Pocket 6K Pro, and so we've been talking about all that. They want to get all the same look in all their cameras, but I told them about what this thing will do, that it will record every single camera, and that means that they could pull clips out later and use them. If something was out of focus in the live show, they do a small edit out of their live stream, and then they put that up later, like little sound bites. Like if I took what I thought was the best part of tonight's live stream and I made it a separate video, that's what they do. And occasionally they wish they could replace a clip because it was out of focus or it wasn't framed very well, and they'd love to be able to just reformat that, and they don't have the ability to do that. They can just cut to that one spot and then add graphics in post, but they can't pull out a complete ISO track with nothing on the screen, no graphics, no overlays, and that's what's cool about this product. Okay, so let's keep moving here. Next up, we just got done talking about the Rode AI Micro. This is a cool little product. I got to tell you, I'm really impressed. There are some glitches in the software that I'm still trying to figure out if it's me or it's the software. We're going to record with it tomorrow. So we've rescheduled twice. Tomorrow we're doing 2 podcasts, audio only, using the Rode AI Micro. I sat down and got my wife's computer all ready to go. I like this because it's just very portable, very usable, very small. It's very tiny. I don't have it in here, but there's the box, and I highly recommend this. I think it was $79 US. Again, links below, and it's just great. It can automatically detect TRS or TRRS lavalier microphones. You could plug the Go into it. You could get 2 wireless Goes from Rode and plug it into it. If you have other wireless systems that have a stereo or a TRRS out, you could plug those in, so you could go wireless. It does not have phantom power, so keep that in mind, but that's pretty easy for many of us can do. We have the ability to put something in line and then plug that in as well. I haven't tested it, so again, these are 3.5 millimeter jacks, so it works really well with all of your wireless microphones. So if you've upgraded a wireless microphone and you have that in a kit, you can plug it in here. It doesn't matter if it's 3.5 TRS or TRRS. So, okay, let me go back and let's stop for a second and look in here. Let's see, jog wheel, thank you. That's what it's called, a jog wheel. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, I apologize for that. That was too weird. Thank you, Tony. Tony from QuickTech said my first series on the HyperDeck helped him out immensely. Yeah, and I just got that thing done. It took lots of time, and then they came out with the new HyperDecks, and I actually was having a conversation with Adam Tao prior to shooting a video that he was going to be on a live stream, and he goes, "How do you feel about that?" And I go, "Well, it gave me another whole series that I can produce that's probably going to be very popular on my channel, but I got to tell you, it'd have been nice if I had done my HyperDeck series months earlier." So shout out to Tony, and that's cool. And I've learned from you. I learned how to replace that fan from your channel. So again, great video, Tony. Are you asking me, Tony, what editing program I use? I use Premiere Pro and Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Audition, that whole package. I just like it. Been using it for years. I bought it back when you had to purchase it outright. Now it's a membership every month. I think I'm paying $60 and some change to be able to use all their software, get all their upgrades. And I use it on my PC and I use it on my laptop. And I think over that, I think you can only have two items at the same time, but you can just take one off and open up another PC. And I do have another PC floating around the house. Plus, occasionally I might edit on my wife's laptop as a backup, so it's nice to be able to just bring it up, log off on one computer and log on the other computer. So how did I get the green border around my picture-in-picture? Okay, let's talk about that in the Q&A. Hopefully you'll be patient with me. But inside the upstream keys, which are where you go to get DVEs, remember the upstream key. Let's just go to that screen here. Guys, let me just pause here in the middle of my live stream. Learned this from Aaron Parecki. What do we want to do here? Let me open up. Okay, so how can we do this? There you go. I wish this was a little bit bigger, but for right now, I don't want to mess up this 2021 thing. So see right here where I have open my upstream key 4, and if you have an A10 Mini, A10 Mini Pro, A10 Mini Pro ISO, you only have one upstream key with one DVE, picture-in-picture is what it is. You don't have to just assign a camera. You could assign anything that's an input to a picture-in-picture. Like I could bring in my A10 Mini Pro. I have 4 things plugged into my A10 Mini Pro, so I could just switch in my Pro to bring that on screen in my DVE. Right now I have it assigned to my desktop. So guys, this is a DVE I'm in right now because the Extreme ISO has 2 that you can have up at the same time, and Super Source. So I could have 4 boxes in Super Source and 2 DVEs. And this is a perfect time to use a DVE when you just want to put yourself on top of an image, and that's what I'm doing. I have this image next to me in one key, and I have this image in another key, and then I just dropped in key number 3 and put it on the air so that I could bring in my desktop. And so if you go into key number 3, sorry, and you see it's set to DVE, these 4 folders, you have Luma, and then you have Chroma. Luma would just be for like lower thirds and things like that you want to have transparent on the screen, and they don't have to be transparent. It could be a still image. You could bring a video in through the DVE as well. Chrome, a key that would be for taking out the green screen in the back, and you could do blue screen, whatever. You would take your dropper and remove that color. Just don't wear a shirt like this if you're doing green screen, because I have multiple colors and blue or green would pull out part of the green, or green eyes. You would want to use a blue screen probably. And then you go down here to border, and you would turn on border right here, and then change the colors, and then you can change the size, and you can see that border gets pretty big on that lower bar. And I can change colors by double clicking on here and go to the same kind of green that I have here. Didn't change. I don't know why it didn't change. So there I have green around me. Can make it smaller. So I just demoed that. I'm using the key functions under DVE, and down there you have border. You also have a shadow. I don't like to use a shadow, but I'm putting a shadow behind it. So I'll take the green off. Here's the shadow going behind it. And because of the color of the shadow, you're not really seeing it because it's kind of black on black. So that's how you do that. So I love this little Rode AI Micro. So consider watching that video if you haven't seen it yet, where we talked about it the last 2 weeks. And I even demoed the software last week after I figured out how to use it, because I unboxed it the week before on live and never had it plugged in before. Just did some research and read about it, and failed miserably when it came to firing up the Connect software, which is free. And again, it runs on just PC and Mac. You can use the Rode apps on your phone if you want to. It automatically will detect the Rode AI Micro if you use the Reporter application, which is really cool because you can have one person on the right, the other person on the left, and now you could mix it down later by splitting that stereo track to mono in your editing software. So, okay, so back to what we were doing here. Pull this back over and go into my media pool, and we're going to drop in this. So I have the the Portkeys BM5. I bought it because I thought I was going to get a a Blackmagic Design Pocket 6K, came really close. Ended up getting a Canon EOS R instead, mainly because I already had Canon lenses, which would have worked on the new Pocket 6K. But I was going to use this camera for more than just in studio, for live streaming, my wife's podcast, and I just really felt like the EOS R with the articulating screen was going to help me, because I can see that little screen in my studio, and I wouldn't be able to see the 6K monitor the same way. So I went with the Canon camera, but this particular port keys, which I don't have, it's on my list for 2022. It goes up to 4K and it's wireless. So it works with the same camera I was going to try to work it with, the Pocket 6K and other Blackmagic Design cameras, which means that you could change some settings in the camera from just a monitor and go mobile. But it also operates a Sony camera. I forget which one, but you can look at the specs. And again, there's a link below. And again, it's a small 5-inch monitor. It's really nice. I use my port keys anytime I do a mobile shoot. I'll use it. And I also use it on my Ronin S gimbal, and which I haven't used a lot, but I am going to be using it a lot this year. It just last year with what was going on, I just really never used it a lot. And it was a last year 2020 purchase, but I guarantee you 2022, you're going to even be seeing some DJI Ronin S footage. And if you're buying a new Ronin, I would get the newer one. It's not on my list because they have made some great improvements with what's coming out new. So I recommend the port keys new 4K monitor, and that's just a really good tool to have, especially if you have 4K cameras with clean HDMI 4K out. Then it's going to be able to use that. So if your camera is set to record 4K for whatever you're doing, you got to have a 4K monitor that can read that 4K so you can display it on a screen, and that is crucial. I've learned that the hard way, so FYI. Okay, moving on here. Oh, one of my all-time favorites. So it is the Rodecaster Pro. It's the centerpiece of my studio for audio, and I'm going to give you 4 reasons right now why. Reason number 1, I love the fact that it has 4 microphones on it, so I can have 4 people in a podcast, and that's what we predominantly purchase it for. I love that it records inside. That's number 2. I love number 3 that it has the Aphex effects in it. You used to have to spend $1,000 for a rack mount channel strip, basically. Effect strip. It wasn't even a channel strip because it didn't have compression and limiting and all that stuff. So you'd have one for a channel strip for that analog, right, in a rack, and then you'd have the Aphex's effects processor, and then you get the Oriole exciter and the big bottom effect, and that's what they use in radio. And the fact that Rode purchased that software from Aphex, and they have it not only here, but guys, go back to the other slide. I bet you did not know this. You probably do know this, but when you use your PC or your Macintosh to run this Rode AI Micro, you actually have Aphex built in. So I can add big bottom and the Oriole exciter to those channels, and I did talk about that last week. So you guys, if you were here last week, you probably already know that. And then number 4, the Rodecaster Pro has the pads, so I can play intro music. I could play a commercial. And you're going to hear this when we get to 1,000 subscribers, and I have a sponsor or something like that. I want to do some pre-recorded little things. I want to do some pre-recorded shout outs to different people. Anyway, when we get into those depths of things for 2022 here on the channel, we're going to actually be using that, and I'll even be using it and demoing that in my post show, which we'll talk about here a little bit later. So Rodecaster Pro, a great purchase. It's very inexpensive, in my opinion. I mean, you spend well over $1,000 for an ATEM Extreme ISO, and yet you can get into a Rodecaster Pro and even packages with microphones and cords for like under $700-800, or you can just buy the Rodecaster Pro. And again, you have 2 quarter-inch outs, right and left, so you can split that and send it to a number of different places. And from the audio engineering world or the studio recording world, we're used to having multiple monitors. So we're used to using splitters. So you bring in a stereo image into the splitter, just like an HDMI splitter, and then you have a switch to send it to different speakers in the house. You'd never send it probably to all the speakers at the same time. But if you have one set of speakers that are for reference and then another one is for what it sounds more like in someone's stereo, some studios even have car speakers right inside their studio, which makes no sense because being in a car and hearing in a car is what I did. And I would take a CD into my car and play it back and listen to the mix inside my car and in my wife's car just to get an idea, was it translating in the real world and not just in the studio? So even though the Rodecaster Pro isn't super high-end, it doesn't have super high-end preamps, it's got really good preamps for what you pay, and it sounds amazing, and you're listening to channel 1 right now with the Aphex Big Bottom Effect on, which just adds a little bit more bass to my voice. Really works nicely with this microphone. So, and we are moving on. Next is the Shure SM7B. I have it right here. This microphone is popping up all the time now. I put a video on my channel. It was a Joy to the World acoustic from one of the local, national radio stations, and they had this on their channel, and I shared it. And the guy was singing in the studio on a Shure SM7B. So not only is it great for voiceover, great for live streaming. You'll see some of the podcasters out there using it. Not everybody wants a microphone on camera, so they might use a lapel mic or a shotgun microphone. But this is a dynamic mic, which means it doesn't pick up a lot of room noise. So on Tuesdays, once a month, we have things going on in the house at the same time as my live stream, and it doesn't pick up very easily from this microphone, where a condenser microphone would pick up. Even if I had a condenser microphone on me, which I have had before, and someone's mowing the lawn, you're gonna actually hear it. And I shoot this during daytime in the summer, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and that stuff translates. So the Shure SM7B, I think, is an amazing microphone. It comes with a beefier windscreen you can put it on. I think it makes the microphone way too big, so I use this pop screen, but it's a great microphone. I won't mess with it because it's our main mic tonight. So moving on here. This has become pretty popular on my channel, the Manfrotto Auto Pull, for 2 reasons. One, you can hang backgrounds from 2 of these. So anywhere in a room, if you have an auto pull, you can use it. It compresses so that you can attach it to the ceiling and the floor. They have the original Manfrotto Auto Pull is actually designed to go wall to wall. I got this one. It's lighter. I don't put a lot of weight on it, but the Auto Pull 2 is a great item. It helps me get my lights up and off the ground. And if I go to, let's fire this up. It might be easier just to show you guys this way. I have lights hanging from my Auto Pull up there right now. Note to self, mute your phone during live stream. So I'm using it right now, and I want to get another one. So actually I want to get 2 more for my mobile kit, because there's many times where I may want to put a background up for doing a photo shoot. I don't do a lot of photography, but for some of the businesses I'm working with, one of the things I do want to offer them is to come and do a yearly photo shoot for all their employees. And then I would want to carry a background with me. I could do a pop-up background, but I like a little bit more room to work with that. And I like to get people away from the background so I don't get any shadows that looks unprofessional to me. So for FYI, I want to get the Auto Pull using the Manfrotto super clamps, and then they make a little insert that you can just set a pole and paper on the pole right on it. And you have one on the right, one on the left, and you can take that mobile with you. And then you can also use it to mount lights. If you're doing a remote shoot, you need to get some lights up. And they even make an extension pole, which I don't have, but you can make the longest auto pull even longer for your mobile shooting. And so for what I do, you know, it would be nice to have in the kit for bigger projects. And I've done some TV spots before for a company I used to work for. And we pretty pulled out all the tools and all the mobile lights that we had for that shoot, because we didn't know exactly where we need it. And so I was shooting in a car, outside of a car. I even had to block out sunlight in a sunroof. And I used a big fold-out panel I have, and maybe we'll take a tour of my garage where I have all that stuff in a future video. So auto pull, those are the 3 sizes. I would check those out. It might be the perfect solution for you in your studio. So, hey, David, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. Check out David's channel. He is one of the guys that I follow to learn more about photography and also all kinds of cameras and lenses. So shout out to David. He is one of the influencers that I feel honored that would be on my live streams. And so as you focus on that area, I'll continue to focus on this area. And let's just team up if we ever can, David, when we have a topic that maybe applies to both of us. All the way from Australia. And I feel for you. Lots of crazy things going on in Australia, but a beautiful, 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 beautiful land. And I have a few favorite movies that were shot right there in your backyard. So shout out to you. I think I've said hi to everybody else that popped on, but I want to continue with this. Let's move on from the auto poll. This is our 2021 live streamers gift guide. So, and there's so much more I wanted to cover, but you can see I can't get through these. Obviously the Stream Decks, and I'm not going to go into these. Most people know about the Stream Decks. But if you want buttons that you can program and then use it with Companion, which is by BitFocus, and if you want to know more about that, check out my latest new HyperDeck Series video that came out yesterday. And I cover the mobile app by Elgato. I cover how to program a button. I programmed some buttons and ran them from my mobile phone. And here's one of the things I want to say that I thought was really cool. As I dive deeper in this, I love the fact that I can have my normal profile on my Stream Deck on my desk, and that's the one I use to control my lights and all of that stuff. In case I change cameras, I'm going to change my lighting, and I don't have a preset. I should program a preset, you know, a companion button. But again, I would like to be able to change that. And if I was using the mobile app over here on my table, I could have a different profile for just companion on my phone, and another one for Elgato buttons on my Stream Deck. So again, I love this app. It shows up as another Stream Deck. I think it cost me $25 for a year subscription. So it's not free, but it does have a free trial. So check out the mobile app and then check out the 2 Stream Decks by Elgato. I think they really do help automate your studio in a powerful way. And we could spend a month just doing live streams on this product, and incredible. And I'm still learning, still growing, but I recommend it as a gift guide for 2021. And they have a newer deck that actually you can customize it, but those are the 2 traditional decks. I have the one on the slide on the right, the XL in my studio. I always felt like if I didn't get the biggest one with all the buttons, I would feel like I didn't have enough buttons on one screen. But you can change pages, so don't let the smaller ones intimidate you. It's just the convenience of having more buttons on one page in front of you. The mobile app is exactly like the one on the left, so they match hand in hand. So some of the buttons that would be on a mobile profile for my mobile phone are going to be different than the XL pages, so keep that in mind as you design those. So, and then Adam Tao, shout out to him. He's been very supportive of my channel. He's been on my channel. So I want to tell you that he has a new profile available for a companion set of buttons, bunch of pages that will operate mix effect from your companion profile on your Stream Deck. And you could even incorporate those buttons on your mobile app if you get the mobile app. So again, check that out. They're not inexpensive, but it is something I would recommend for you in your studio. Okay, moving on here. Next up, my monitor, my BenQ 32-inch 4K monitor, and I put the model number on the still image. I love it. Here's a sample of why I love it. I have 4 different things on the screen. Right now, that top left quadrant is my HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. Pause for effect. On the right is my multi-view. And because I have an extreme and I can change it, I could change the multi-view just to this camera. full screen to make sure it's in focus and I like the lighting, and then I can and see it full screen instead of one of the tiny little monitors in multi-view. Because remember, if you buy an Extreme, the multi-view is even bigger. I have the multi-view of the Pro and the ATEM Mini and the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. That's what I'm demonstrating. You can see there's less boxes, but on my multi-view, there's lots of boxes. Right now I have open 12 boxes. And so they're 1/4 of my 32-inch monitor. So some of those boxes are as tiny as they're smaller than 2 of those boxes would fit on my screen of my iPhone. So they're tiny boxes. So it's really hard to check focus and check lighting from those boxes. So I love the ability in the ATEM Mini Extreme to change that. And again, that's one of the big benefits. Make sure I'm dropping in the right slide here. That's one big benefits of having the 2 HDMI outs and also being able to change the inputs to those 2 HDMI outs in this product. So I highly recommend the BenQ 32-inch monitor. It's not inexpensive. It's about the same price as an ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. They came out with a newer model, but I still feel like this is the best model. It's got different color editing software built into it, so it's been calibrated from the factory. And so if you're doing some video coloring or you're doing some photography editing, it's just a great monitor to see what you're actually editing, so you can actually see the final product. And again, to be able to divide it into 4 quadrants or 2 quadrants or 1 quadrant with a picture and picture over it, to me, that's amazing. And I can change what's in each quadrant. So I can have 4 inputs and I can move those to whatever corner. So it's got a matrix built into it. They're not dedicated to top left or top right. The downside of this monitor is it has Thunderbolt in. It also has a display port in and then 2 HDMI in. So keep that in mind. It's really designed to come out of a laptop or a PC or a Mac and then go into it. But you can daisy chain through Thunderbolt another monitor, which is really cool. Okay, moving on here. Where are we? Let's do this. I also recommend the Elgato key light. I've talked a lot about it. That's what's on me right here. You can put a softbox over it. I don't have a lot of room because there's a wall right there behind it, and I want to get it away from me because the further I can get away, the softer the light becomes. It's not right up in my grill, and it's got some filtering in it, so it is pretty soft light, though I still would say if you could put a softbox over it, then I would do that. Keep in mind, if you buy the key light Air, it's half as bright. And then if you add a softbox to it, you're going to even cut down more of the brightness. So keep that in mind, FYI. But the key light has that mount available. The key light Air has a desktop mount. Looks like kind of like the old school microphone stands, and it sits on your desk. It's shorter because it's a desktop mount. But this one I like because you can mount on it. And I actually have one of these little twinkle lights hanging from one of my key light brackets because I don't use them. I have them actually on a pole, and they're mounted on a Manfrotto super clamp with an extension on it, and that's how my lights are mounted on a pole. And it basically, this is a closet that my desk is in, and I just had a pipe put in here so I can clamp things on it. I've got a camera on it. I've got 2 lights on it. I even have my my Logitech camera up here. I'm not using it tonight, but it's a shoot down camera when I'm doing training on how to use the equipment and people want to see over my shoulder. So again, key light by Elgato. I love it. Let's see if anybody else has jumped on. Don't see anybody new. So get your questions ready on these items. Let's continue going through them here. Next up, Samsung ScanDisk just came out with a faster version. It's the Extreme. This is retailing anywhere from about $119 on sale to $124. It's a 1 terabyte. It's over 1,000 megabytes a second. You can edit on it. Think about how fast that is, 1,000 megabytes a second. Obviously, you have to have that port speed. So USB-C port that's fast enough. But I edit right on these. I'm recording to the older version that's 550 megabytes a second. I only have one of these faster ones in the studio, and it belongs to a client. I have my clients buy the newest version of these, and then we put all their stuff on those, and I just pull out that device to edit, and then I'll do backups in the middle of the projects, but I don't keep all their files. I just hand that off. I don't do things like most people in video production do. Now, I don't give them my edited files. My Adobe Premiere files will be on a different drive, but all the raw footage and all of that stuff, I'll hand it to them, and they know that they can't edit it and put my name or my logo on it. That's just, if I don't edit it, they can't use it with my name attached, so FYI. And so who knows, no one knows where the footage came from. Same with photographs. If I do any photographs for them for social media, I just put the finished ones on there, and I keep all the raw ones on there as well, except for the ones I threw out because they're no good, they're trash. Let's see here, next. So grab one of those. This is the Deity microphone dual set I use. This is my primary wireless system. I have it right here. So you can see the size of the case. Comes in this beautiful little case. I am going to do a little show and tell tonight because I haven't really talked about this. I use it all the time in my shoots away from the studio, even sometimes when we're doing a podcast here in this, my wife's podcast. We just did her holiday one. We haven't launched it yet. It has to be edited later this week, but we use these two wireless packs, and they are not as high end as some of the ones out there, and they do use the wireless spectrum, so keep that in mind, 2.4 hertz, I believe. But I have two of them, and then they have one receiver, and they just do really good. They come with microphones, they come with all the attachments. They even come with the XLR, 3.5 millimeter XLR adapters, and so it's really easy to plug it into my mobile recording system, which is the Sound Devices MixPre 6 original edition, in a bag, and that's what I use for mobile shoots. So I may have a boom pole attached to it with a wireless shotgun microphone in my blimp. And this is my blimp. Sorry about that. Hopefully you didn't see my gut, but my shotgun microphone goes in here. It's not in here right now, and this would be for shooting inside to cut down on some noise and fan noise and stuff like that. And then if you go outside, you can use it low wind situations, but then you have a big dead cat that goes over top of this, and I keep that in a travel bag. But this is a great tool if I'm going to use a shotgun microphone, and so I use that. Again, it's not on my shopping list, but here is the MixPre right here in my travel bag. And so if it's raining, I have this protection on it. And then there is my MixPre 6, and they have a version 2, so don't buy the older version. But I highly recommend this. It also will work as an audio interface. So I know some people use this in their studios as an audio interface, but it's designed, in my opinion, to go out mobile. And so that's what we use it for. And when I was shooting my wife's podcast outside of my room, I always use it. Now I don't use the Rodecaster Pro. We keep it in the studio and only use it in here. So I'll use that MixPre 6 outside of my studio. And it's, again, another audio interface. I can plug it in to a computer. It has a mobile app that you can use it with. So it's a great tool. And that's what I use for a wireless system when I'm doing interviews and things like that. I'd like to get another one so I could do up to 4 different people. I do have another wireless kit if I need one for 3 people. But again, that's the Deity, and I think it's a great kit. So check that out. And then this first list, this is the PSA 1 Plus. It's a new boom arm. You can see I have the old PSA 1 right here. I highly recommend it. But I like this one better. I don't necessarily like the Rode advertisement on it, but I love some of the changes that they made. I actually have an extension on mine right here, and you can buy these for like $8 online. So again, that's that first list, and I think I hit everything on that. I'm going to take a break here for a minute and see if you have any questions, and then I have a few more items before we get into our takeaways for 2021, and we talk about the big announcement, big prediction for 2022 and beyond. So let's see here. Does the BenQ have a VESA mount? Yes. And I have it mounted on my wall in the back of my closet. It's no longer on the stand. That was a question from Conjoined Technologies. And let's see if there's any other questions. I would love to team up too, David. I'm glad you're excited about that, especially the accent. I'll bring in English and you can bring your Australian accent. Love it. Can auto poles be used vertically? Yeah, vertically and horizontal, though the auto pole 2, Tony, is not recommended for how I'm using it. And it's because of weight. The other auto pole, the more traditional auto pole 1, was a little heavier duty. And so they say right in the notes. So keep that in mind. But I just have some 50 RSs by Great Video Maker on them, plus the Manfrotto mounts. And so I've never had any problem. It's not coming down, but I probably would not attempt to put my UL 150s from Godox on it. They're a lot heavier because they've got the aluminum heat sink on them. They don't have any fans. That's why I use them in the studio. Should have been on my recommended list. They have a new 60 version, UL 60, that came out this last year, which would be great for smaller studios. But I have 2 UL 150s here, and they are bolted on a mount to the ceiling, and I don't move those. I would love to have them on an auto pole as well, because there's times where I don't like exactly where they are, especially this one as a hair light. I turn it around for the podcast, and I've been using it as a hair light, and because it gives it I was getting overexposed, on this side because of the angle of my other key light. So this is just a better hair light. And or a separation light, FYI. How do I have 4 things coming up on the BenQ? 4 inputs. So you just got to fill those inputs. So one of those, let me pop this up because you're talking to me about it. One of those inputs comes from my PC. So I have 2 computers right now live. I can watch this computer right here. So let me switch to this image. So this picture is coming from my PC. I'm using OBS and I'm using my Facecam by Elgato. So one of those inputs is coming HDMI from my PC. Another one is coming from HDMI from my laptop. So that takes up 2, and that takes up the 2 HDMIs. And then I have a display port coming into it as well. Actually, that's my PC. It's coming display port in. And then I have my laptop coming in Thunderbolt. And then I have my HDMI out of both of my HyperDecks. In reality, I have a switch on my desk that I can switch between my HDMI and my Studio HD Plus HyperDeck and my Mini HyperDeck. So what I did is I came out of my HyperDeck Mini, HDMI out, my HyperDeck Studio HD Plus, and I went into a switch, and I've talked about those switches here before. I have a live stream where I talked about how many switches I have in my studio. And so it's right on top of my HyperDeck Mini, so I can just switch right now and bring up my HyperDeck Mini on that top left monitor that you're seeing. I just pasted a still image in there to represent my my HyperDeck, but right now in my studio, I can look at what's on my HyperDeck, and it's a frozen image of me, my still image from the end of my intro video. So I hope that answers your question. Let me put back up here. So again, don't buy the old version, buy the new version if you're going to get a Rode PSA 1. The Plus is the difference, and it looks a little different. As far as I know, they're exactly the same size, and no, I don't have one yet, but if I did buy a new one, I would buy this. And I would like to have one so I can have a podcast with these type microphones. So I'd have another SM7B, and I'd have another boom arm, probably 2 boom arms to do a mobile podcast. And again, with what's been going on around the world, some of the things that I wanted to do, I just postponed. But I do want to be able to go do some mobile podcasts. So take that kit and a Rodecaster Pro and just move into a studio and be able to do an audio podcast and be the producer an executive producer and set it all up for them. All they would do is have to do their show, and then I would give them the disc when I left, and they could deal with it, or they could hire me to do editing. So again, I would get the new PSA 1 Plus if you were going to grab one of those. So, okay, so what I want to do right now, as fast as I can here, is I want to drop in some new still images because I ran out of space in my media pool. So I'm just going to drop these in. One there. One there. One there. One. Sorry, please stand by. I think I got them all now. Okay, so let me drop this in here. I absolutely love Gitzo tripods. If you haven't heard of them, they're a German company. They've been around by themselves for years. I think they're owned by Manfrotto now or whatever. But if you know anything about photography and if you've been around the industry, you'll know that Gitzo is one of those brands. They're great, great tripods. And this is called the Traveler. And I got it out because I wanted you to see. I mean, this is a full-size carbon fiber tripod. It's this big when you compact it down. It's a Traveler, and in reality, it can go a little smaller. And I love it. And it folds out just simply like this. And I have another piece in the bag, so I can take this piece right here out and go to a really short one. If I want to get all the way down to the ground, I can move these legs all the way out like that, and I could shoot literally on the ground. So it's great for macro photography. It's great for in the studio. I'll shoot a video production on this for like camera 2. It's nice to have a nice fluid ball head. It's got a nice ball head, but it's really a photography ball head. But I would check that out. It's not inexpensive. They have kind of the newer series version. This is the older version. So they did make some updates, but I highly recommend this tripod. It's amazing. And again, it'll fit in most suitcases and travel bags. And if you watched Aaron Precky's last live stream, he bought another little tripod to get super light and super compact and to travel over to Russia. And you know, because if you're going to take a tripod with you got to have something that's designed to travel. So this may be too big for some people, but I love it. And I've had it now for a couple of years. It's my main tripod that I have with me traveling. And then I've got a Manfrotto that I use that has a fluid ball head on it. Actually, I have a couple tripods, and I had them set up when I did my lighting live stream. So anyway, next, and then because of my son, we got these Moondrops, and you may not want to use headphones like this in your studio, especially because your ears get hot and stuff later. So maybe you want to use just regular in-ear monitors. And so I love Moondrop, the company. I love these Starfields. They're right here. So sometimes I'll edit with these. And if I'm going to really do some fine-tune editing, I'll get out my Sennheiser headphones. I also use Audio-Technica M50s. And these are HD 280 Pros. Great headphones, but maybe you just want to have in-ear monitors. And these are a great little set of in-ear monitors, just over $100. And they have really good sound. And so just great for listening to music, but also great for editing. And I purchased the Starfields because I felt like they had less bass than the other Moondrops that are so popular that retail for like $80 United States. So check those out and see if that's something that you want to add to your kit. So I feel like I'm missing something here. We did that. So I am going to recommend a new camera. Now, I'm not a Sony, what am I going to say? I'm not a Sony knowledgeable person, though I do know the 6400. I have installed it in a venue up in Snohomish, Washington, on the other side of the pass, other side of the mountains where Rainier are a part of. And I love that camera. It has a little bit different color science than the Canon cameras, so I'm not sure you would mix it with Canon, but I've really seriously thought about adding this as my sky cam. So it has a lens in it. I like everything about it. You can go in and change the timeout settings. It does get a little hot at 4K outside, but you do have a standard setting and a non-standard setting, so you can let it get hotter if you want to and shut off less. So in the studio, I haven't done any testing. I don't own one, but I just wanted to say, if you're starting out and you just needed a camera that really does quality, has clean HDMI out, even has the ability to put the little dead cat on top of it, the wind covering for outside recording. So it's a great B-roll camera and super tiny. And I just think it's a great solution, and you can check out the link here in the description and see if that's something that you might want to get. Wow, look at it. It's after our hour, and I've tried to stay to an hour. So if I missed something on my list, I super apologize. Again, I had more items. Oh, I do have to do this. I must. Let's see here. Where are you? I have an honorable mention, and I'd feel horrible if I hadn't done this. And the reason I'm going to do this is, many of you know that I've had Adam Tao on my channel, so I want to give a shout out to MixFX, number one, and Adam. And they came as a package to me. I invited Adam to come on the show at the very beginning when he released this app. Little did I know how much I would fall in love with the app, and little did I know how handy it would be. Again, I'm sitting here most of the time when you guys see me, unless I'm producing a video. But I'll tell you, it really comes in handy to set up my recording videos with MixFX, and I can do way less editing. So I can actually change box sources and all of that stuff right here. And I would say that one of my favorite things about MixFX is how it integrates with SuperSource. Now, if you have an ATEM Mini, ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM Mini Pro ISO, you don't have SuperSource, you have DVEs just like I'm using, and you only have one, and mine actually has the ability to bring on another DVE. So there you go. You can see all my little slides on my desktop right now. So you can't really do that with it if you have those smaller ATEMs, and I still recommend the ATEM Mini Pro ISO and even the Pro if all you need is a recording of the program out. But I have to say that I've been super impressed with the app and the updates, and so I highly recommend that you get this Pro version. I think it's $50 one time, and you get all the updates. And then now I think Adam has another product on his channel. And because I love these guys so much, I want to do this for Adam because he's been such a good friend to the channel. So let me bring that DVE back on here. And so here is the page where you can go to Apple Store and you can download it. And so it's good for Apple only iOS. So I apologize if you're an Android user, but there's his channel. And you can just type in mixeffect.app and it'll come up. If you search for Adam Tao MixEffect, again, no S, you're going to find him really easy, but I highly recommend this app. And then I also want to give a shout out to this little board. I found this little board, and this is just one of those boards, I think on his channel. Let me bring it up here real quick. This is Little King Goods, and he has a YouTube channel, and I heard about him originally from Peter McKinnon. They did kind of a co-show. It was really cool. His channel exploded because of Peter's influence. If you know anything about Peter McKinnon, he actually worked with leather prior to he starting his YouTube channel. And he said his business really didn't take off, but he loves leather works, and he even has some products that have leather a part of it. But this is a channel that shows you behind the scenes of things being made. I put a link in the description. You can watch this board being made. But $200, it's mahogany, it's gorgeous. It's got real leather in it. You have some choices of the type of leather to put in it. And I just thought this was super cool. Obviously, $200 could go to a million other things, but talk about an incredible gift. I have one of these by my door where we put our keys, and it's not like this. It's not near as nice. It's a little tray. I have another thing up on my dresser where I throw a lot of junk in it, but I think it's pretty cool. And Peter did a great video, so go check out his video on suggestions for the holidays. And I think his piece on this product was incredible. In fact, it motivated me to do a better job with my videos. So shout out to Peter McKinnon. Shout out to Little King Goods. Check out the YouTube channel. And then I would suggest you actually grab one of these as a gift for someone. But here's some examples of his photographs. I just thought it was really cool. Beautiful little product. And you could put your camera on it. It's just gorgeous. So for whatever it's worth, I just thought that was primo cool. So a shout out to those guys, and that's kind of it on my list. So now let me get to the takeaways here. I need to drop in some other images. Oops. And I'll look at your questions here real quick. I am mixing in the Q&A tonight because I had a lot on our plate. Don't want to drop that there or I will give away my secret. I'm going to bring this in right here. And this in right here. So again, I disappeared. What happened to me? That's not what I wanted to do. So let me find this still image here. I apologize. I thought I had all this ready, and it's not. I'm having a flashback to one of the other guys that I listen to and one of the gals I listen to online. When this happens to them, all I can do is apologize. Okay, there it is. I apologize. Let's put this right here. So my big takeaway for, and I have the 2022 bold predictions up there. I apologize. My big takeaway from last year, I really wanted to think about this and share with you what I felt like were three products, three things I added to my studio that I thought were game changers for me and have really not only benefited me as a live streamer, benefited my business, benefited me as a human. There's some things attached to relationships in these three takeaways, but drum roll, please. I don't have a drum roll. And here they are. So number one, the HyperDeck. Obviously, I think my channel is kind of surrounded around the HyperDeck, and I love the features and the updates to the HyperDeck. I highly recommend it. It's my number one takeaway from 2021. And there's a number of reasons why. They fixed lots of little things like headphone out, the speaker built in, a dark mode, which makes it easier to see the screen. You have an HDMI input, which gets rid of having to have the 6G converter. You can come right out, clean HDMI out into your HyperDeck HD Plus now. I love that it has a better menu system, more complicated, but lots more things that you can do in the menu. I love that you have the information that you can put on the screen if you want to, but you got to come out of the SDI out. So you will have to convert it if you want to use that SDI out. But I absolutely love it. And then Adam came on the show. He's made a number of updates to Mix Effect. I purchased it right away. I absolutely love the app. I highly recommend it. We've had conversations off the channel. He even has loaner HyperDecks right now, the new HyperDecks, to see if he can make some updates. And I just really, really, really appreciate it. So if you haven't purchased Mix Effects or you haven't invested in it, or you haven't gone over to his channel and subscribed, please do that. My number 2 takeaway this week or this year in 2021 is Mix Effects. And the only reason it's not the app, I would put the app number 3 over the next item, but because of the relationship with Adam, and I'm so relationship oriented, and if you know me or spent any time, you know it's true. So like Freddie, who isn't on tonight that I've seen, usually shows up in the channel, and he and I have actually become friends over the last year. And so again, I love the relationships, and it's so important to me. Tony and I got to be on a live stream together with Adam Tao as well. So I just like his style. He's a great human. He's got a great app. He solved a problem that many of us have. Macros are very difficult to use, and I created some tonight. I will do everything I can in Mix Effects before I touch a macro. There is still a use for macros, and there is a use for Mix Effects, and they do incorporate really well together. But keep in mind that you got to really understand both in order to use it. And I love the fact that Adam's made a number of updates, including the ability to control the HyperDeck from Mix Effects, and that's really cool. What we haven't solved is the issue with the new SSD out, or USB-C out, and being able to access the SSD. He did send me this week, and I haven't tested them yet, some Apple iPhone automations. And so I got to test those out. So that'll be a part of next week's show, I think. So, and I can access it through that. So thank you, Adam. Shout out to your channel. You mean a lot to us here at Life Journey Production Studios. And I picked the Mix Effects as one of my top 3 products this year, game changers for me. Now, number 3, obviously, is the A10 Mini Extreme ISO. It's so deep. There's so many things. I haven't even attempted to do a series on it because it would be 12 videos. There's so much here. There's so much that makes my life easier and more complicated at the same time. Obviously, processing one key, upstream key, and one downstream key, even if you even understand them alone, is hard enough. Add 4 upstream keys and 2 downstream keys and super source. It's crazy. And then all the buttons on front can be completely overwhelming, even though a lot of those buttons, unless you have Blackmagic design cameras, you're not going to use them. So a shout out to that. And so I really, really, really want to say thank you to those guys for doing that. And I think I'll disappear here, but I made this still on purpose just to celebrate my top picks, my top takeaways for 2021. Here they are. And there they are. So shot right here in the studio just a little while before the live stream. Thank you so much. Blackmagic Design, you got 2 things on my list, and Adam Tao, you got one on my list as well. And so that's my product photograph. 1 would be the HyperDeck, 2 would be the A10 Mini Extreme ISO, and 3 would be Mix Effect. And the overall relationship would definitely boost Adam up to number 1. So, okay, so I know I'm not on the screen here. Apologize for that. I'm setting something up to wind up our main part of our show. And I should be able to just hit a macro here, so let's try it. My macros disappeared, guys. That's what I was looking for. Wow. Macro's gone. Turn all these keys off. There's a 2 box. I'll live with that for right now. My computer just took over my screen. Because we were talking about him, we'll go back to Adam's page here. So I want to talk about my big takeaways here. Again, I lost my macros. I don't know what happened to them. This has happened to me before where they changed screens on me. So let me minimize this. So not only can macros be difficult, I've had this happen. There they are. So we have this still image right here. And I don't even see my macro for this big announcement. So we will create this. But I want to tell you that next year, and this is the intro, I'll give you my big announcement here in a second, big prediction. But next year, we are going to start our post show. And I'm hoping to hit 1,000 subscribers. Wanted to do something special for those of that want to be on the live streams longer with me. It would normally start right about now, 5-minute break after 5:15. And then I would do special things in that live stream, demo some stuff. It's still going to be a live stream, though if you don't have special access, you won't be able to access it after it's done going live. So keep that in mind. You can join it live and go right into it. But if you want to be able to have it later and see it later, it's going to be in a private list for a group of friends and subscribers, because in reality, a lot of that same stuff I'm going to do in those post shows are going to end up in videos on my channel, but I want to interact with people in the post show. So keep that in mind. Good to see you, Craig. I saw your note there. I appreciate your appreciation of me sharing my insights. So, okay. So again, next year we're going to be doing this special show. I want to start it in the first part of January. After the first of the year, I'm hoping we'll cross 1,000 subscribers between now and then. So again, that's why I have this still image on the screen saying thank you to you subscribers. And after my announcement about what's going to take place, and hopefully my big prediction next season, we are going to roll the outro and say goodnight. I do want to have a little bit of Q&A before we do that, so I'm not going to share the big prediction yet. If you have any final questions, now's the time. The little dongle on the bottom of the BenQ, this is a question from Conjoined Technologies. That actually is a little puck that can control it. So I can change what's in different views. I can change color science. I can change between 4-up to 2-up, side by side to picture in picture, to just my PC input, or just my Stream Deck on the full screen, or just my laptop on full screen. I can do all that from the puck. So it's a great little tool to have. I have it Velcroed to the top of my HyperDeck Studio Mini, as well as my Switch. They're Velcroed on the top of that. So thank you for that question. That's the little dongo. The Gitzo is mighty close to Ratso. Could be. He doesn't live under my desk, FYI. He lives in his little case in his box when he's traveling. Conjoined Technologies, I have a ZV-1. One thing to be aware of is that you're going to power it. It must be a high voltage USB to avoid battery drain. Okay, so I did understand that you have to have the battery in it when you have the USB-C plugged in. I don't know if that's true. I did not know you have to have a high powered. So keep that in mind if you're going to power it, because you can power that by USB-C. You do have to go into the menu system and turn that on, but we have Conjoined Technologies that knows all about it. He owns one. Great. Thank you for that. Mix Effects works great with M1 Max. Thanks for sharing that, Tom. Probably won't be going back to iOS. Okay. Good to see you, Hank. No problem, late check-in. Just go back if you want to see my whole 2021 gift guide. Because that's what we did for most of the show. And I shared kind of what I love about those different items. And again, there are Amazon links below. And if you do use those links, thank you. That is the only support and the only way any money comes into the channel. This is a labor of love. Don't get me wrong. There's actually things about going with advertisement that I'm still on the fence over once we hit 1,000 subscribers. But I still want to grow the channel, and that's my main motivation. 1,000 obviously is a big landmark for us, and we're looking forward to that moment. Thank you guys so much for making that happen and subscribing. So, okay, let me scroll back here. The sound devices MixPre 6 have 32-bit floating. That's a great question. I can't answer that off the top of my head. I think the version 2 did, but I'm not sure. But that is definitely a audiophile studio question. I know it's high-end codec. I know it's got great preamps, but I haven't even looked at that for a while. I bought it 3 years ago or 4 years ago. But I will answer that question here on the channel if you just answer that question in the notes below in the comments. I'm just reading that question. You guys are talking about the BenQ again. I have 4 inputs that go directly to it. The only thing that I'm splitting, obviously, is the HyperDecks, because I'm putting 2 of those in by splitting them, or actually switching them. So 1 input in the BenQ, but 2 coming into the switch. The PC goes direct. The laptop goes direct through Thunderbolt display port from the PC. And then I'm thinking, and then the HDMI out of the extreme ISO goes into as well. So the main number 1 HDMI out. So I'm feeding directly to it. I used HDMI input or output number 2 in my extreme ISO, guys, to split through my studio so that I can monitor things. And again, I can turn multi-view on this monitor right here through that second output. Right now I have it set to program, and I do split that HDMI 2 out to a number of monitors. And so that's how I'm doing it. And again, I would be happy to answer those questions after the live stream if you have anything specific for that. I think I hit all the questions. Can auto poles be used vertically? How do you hang a backdrop on the auto poles? Again, that's the Manfrotto brackets. So the super clamps clamp on. And then if you know anything about a Manfrotto super clamp, I do not have one I'm not using, guys, so I can't pull it out here. I can steal this one. I just stole my Skycam, FYI. So here's the Manfrotto super clamp. So you have this input right here in the super clamp, and I can put an insert in here, and it's just a little round hanger with this kind of peg like this that goes inside here, and then again that screws down tight. So you would take this piece out. You wondered how. Take this piece out so you can clamp on a pole, and they're big poles. You have to come all the way out like this to clamp on them. That's why I like these clamps. And so that would clamp on like this, and then those hangers come out and hang like that, loop, and you just buy one of those poles that you put your paper on, or you can clip on. I have big, heavy spring clips. So when we do a tour of the studio, after 1,000 subscribers, hopefully that's just going to be in a few weeks, I will actually tour the garage studio as well, so you guys can see how that works. So we have officially lost my shoulder cam. What does it look like now? Not that bad. Now it looks like that. We'll take it. So I use that so I can mount on my shelf and put Indiana Jones in the shot. So, okay. So I think I hit all the questions. Man, I'm sorry if I missed it. You can throw it in one more time. So conjoin, if you have any more questions, please put them in there. Q&A time. And then we will give our big announcement. You're going to want to hear this one. You specifically, I think, are going to want to hear this big prediction. I don't know why. I thought I created a macro. Got a gift guide macro. Did I drop the still image in there? I'm just waiting to see if any more questions come in. Okay, big prediction here. Are you ready for it? I was thinking about making a prediction about Blackmagic Design, and I have one. This isn't my big prediction, so I'll just throw this out there. I do think that they are going to come out with a new rack-mounted ATEM switcher product in 2022. My instincts are they were going to announce it at some of the big events, but they canceled and didn't go to those. So I think they have something in the works. I don't have any inside information. I couldn't find anything out there. It's just my instincts. But again, this is not my big prediction. Just a hope that they're going to do something with the rack-mounted devices. It'll be interesting to see if they do. We'll talk next year about, if they don't make an announcement, we'll talk next year about what I think should be in that. And I would be getting one for my mobile unit if they did that. So FYI, that's, again, not my big prediction. Are you guys ready? Are there any more questions? Are there any more questions before I make my 2022 bold prediction? And again, it's a prediction and it's bold because obviously if you make a prediction, it's not necessarily totally in your control. I may have cheated just a little bit with this prediction, but I'm not sure if I did or not. But it is a prediction. Any questions before we let the cat out of the bag? Here. Sorry, I have nothing against cats. You'll rabbit out of the hat. Okay, no questions. Here we go. Drum roll, please. I should have recorded a drum roll. I'm so sorry. Here it is. Dun, 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 dun. Ratso will co-host my post-live show in January 2022. This is my big prediction. It's bold because if you knew anything about this character, this rat, you can't control what he says. You can't control what he does. That does make him funny and entertaining. But again, it's a prediction. We'll see if it happens. We'll be talking more about the post-show in next week's live and even more in the one right before the new year. But I thank you guys so much for joining me. That is my gift guide for live streamers. That is my top 3 takeaways from 2021. Thank you so much, Blackmagic Design, for your incredible tools, and so many other people from BenQ and your monitor. And I love it all, but I had to pick 3 for this live stream. And then my big bold prediction is that Ratso is going to be joining us as a co-host. Prediction, bold, for the post show in January 2022. So if you weren't considering joining the post show and yet you might be a Ratso fan, then you'll have to make a decision as that approaches, because I'm looking forward to that moment. And I hope he says yes. We have a meeting later this week, and we'll see how that meeting goes. So again, I'm Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios. Hopefully I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully you'll tune into the HD Series plus HyperDeck Blackmagic Design. I'm running out of words. I've used them all. So that series, there's 5 videos up there now. We have a couple bonus ones that are going to come out after the first of the year. But if you want to know more about using the mobile app with your HyperDeck from Elgato, that's the video for you. And hopefully you'll share those and like those and help me build this channel and help us get to 1,000 subscribers. And I know that there's a lot of things on everybody's plates, and I know everybody's really busy. I've tried to be considerate of all of that. Let's get Ratso off of here. He's in my downstream key. I know that everybody has a busy schedule, and I do have a great appreciation for that. And so I am trying to be sensitive to your guys' schedule, trying to be sensitive to my schedule, but I also want to continue building information and having conversations here on the channel. So again, I hope that you guys will continue to join me on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. I'm going to try to keep it down to an hour and 15 minutes after the outro video plays, Tonight I just had a lot to cover because I wanted to share both the predictions, my favorite things, and I also wanted to try to do lots of things in the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. Lots of still images, lots of work to get it all ready, and I hope you enjoyed that live stream tonight. And I apologize that my camera is so far away. I did that so you guys could see behind me. And I have two of my favorite products right there, and I wanted to just do this before we go. I do have SuperSource open, though we didn't use SuperSource tonight, on my iPad. So I've got the box for the HyperDeck back there and the box for the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO back there in the live stream. And I think I lost camera 3 here. It's gone dead, but I'll pop it up here, because I did want to play this real quick because I think it's a beautiful shot. So changing to camera 3. That's not camera 3. What happened here? You would think I know how to run this thing. Camera 3 is live. There you are. My computer's been taken over by this still image. I don't know what's going on here. Can't seem to put it up. Maybe I can do it a different way. I am going to try here. Don't need that. That's my desktop. So let's go here. There you go. And let me put it on the screen here. There is that little teeny light flashing with those boxes in the background. And I can't see it full screen, so let's bring it up here. I'm actually changing the size of this box right now live, because I've run into some challenges here on my PC. But you can see those two boxes in the background. So again, shout out to Mix Effects and Adam Tal. It's an incredible app, and it's in that mix as well. And that photograph I took and showed you guys earlier says it all. So again, thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. Thank you so much for reminding me to record ISO tracks tonight. I'm about to turn that off, and I want to say have a great week. I'll see you guys next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Until then, my name is Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios, and that's all I have left tonight. I'm so tired. Thank you.